Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist at Adobe, and welcome to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge, day number 4. Yesterday, we had a little bit of a technical problem. Power went out twice. Hopefully, that won't be the case today, although we did just have a small earthquake, so you never know what's going to happen. But a big good morning to everyone joining me live on Behance, including Andy and Kelsey, who pointed out I'm wearing a red shirt. I certainly am today. And Ketia and Samuel. No glasses. Where are my glasses? Hold on. There are my glasses. That just looks... It just all kind of comes together now. I like it. Thank you for pointing that out, Kelsey. Eric and Anna, if you are tuning me live, red shirt equals business. I agree. If you are tuning in live, let me know where you're tuning in from. Today I'm streaming live from Los Angeles. Next week I'll be in San Francisco for more Daily Creative Challenge stuff and UI and UX week, so that should be fun times. So what do we have planned for today? Let me hop over to my screen. All right, all looks good. Power is on. This is the Daily Creative Challenge landing page, behance.net/Daily Creative Challenge. If you haven't done so already, definitely hit that big blue register button at the top. That way you get notifications when we release new challenges every single morning, except the weekends at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then at 8:30 a.m. every single day, again, not the weekends. I'm going to be relaxing this weekend. You're going to be joining me live on air to kick off each day's challenge, and then you're going to be using Adobe XD to design and prototype whatever it is that we're designing. You have until March 29th to complete all of these challenges, but as I mentioned in the past, we're really doing this to help build your skills up, build you a portfolio, attract new clients. So if you need a few extra days after March 29th to really polish up your presentations and share it with the world, definitely take a few extra days. There's no winners. Well, then again, everyone's a winner because you're learning new skills. Okay, I'll stop. You can grab XD for free if you haven't yet. Join us on Slack. This is one of the things I love about Slack is here's our Slack channel. We have 16,831 people in Slack. If we don't hit 17,000 by Monday, I'm not streaming. You can hold me to that. So Lee just posted that we are live on Behance right now. You can ask questions, you can share design feedback. And if you do ask for feedback, be specific. If you want feedback on your colors, your banners, whatever it might be, definitely let people know. And then when you receive feedback, try to turn around and give some feedback. There's a lot of people in here asking for feedback. So jump in there, have some fun. We got some great mentors, including Zach and Peter and Chris. Some of them might be in the chat right now. There's also a lot of great community members like Andy, who is in our chat, who's in there helping all the time. Big thank you to Andy in specific, who's just been a super trooper throughout this whole process. So definitely join us in Slack. Oh, Andy, I just complimented you and you just said you're not streaming like yesterday. Gosh, Andy. All right. So today's challenge, let me refresh this one more time. Andy, what have you done? So here we go. So here's today's challenge, and it's good to point out that even though there's a button to get the template on all of these, we are using the same template throughout the entire process. So you can just download the template once and you can basically use that all the way up until next Friday. And today's challenge is user support. So we are, working on the case study and working on the problem that if a user needs support on a website, it's a little bit difficult to figure out where that exactly is. So there's going to be a live help button. Something will pop up using an overlay or whatever it might be. We're going to dive in and see what's going on. We're going to have some fun with this one. But before we do that, make sure to use the hashtag XD Daily Challenge when you are sharing these things. That way we can take a look at them. And I want to take a very quick look at a few of the challenges. And this is where the power went out yesterday. So hopefully one of you is not like sabotaging my internet connection. I'm just kidding. So this one is from Emily, who I believe I saw in Slack this morning. And I thought this one just glare into the souls of these deals. I like it. And this cat is just looking at me. Maybe this cat turned off my power. It's possible. And I love these cards, how she added a little bit of pop of color right down at the bottom. I think this looks really nice. So great job, Emily. Next is Mark Whitley. Let me grab this, let me open up this prototype very quickly. And I just love the colors, the yellows and the gradients and all this stuff. Prototype's loading, here we go. and the way you know, the, what are these called? The tags are kind of on an angle. It makes it look, I don't want to say less professional, but in a good way. It makes it look like a mom and pop shop. Like, it doesn't look like a Chewy or a PetSmart or a Petco or something like that. It has a fun flavor to it. I really like the way this is laid out. It looks welcoming. It's hard to explain, but it looks really nice. So nice job, Mark. Next, we've got Daniel, who has participated in many of our challenges in the past, and I'm not going to go through the prototype, but this, I really like this, showing how all the wires link together. And speaking of wires, very quickly, this was tweeted yesterday from Studio One, and this was what over 100 artboards wired up looks like in Adobe XD. And I thought this was fascinating, but it also started a conversation on Twitter. There's almost 200 likes right now. And it started a conversation publicly and internally about how we can better organize artboards. And we have a lot of interesting ideas that we've been working on for a while that we'll talk more about as the time goes on. But if you have some ideas on how to better organize your artboards or your whatever it might be in Adobe XD, definitely tweet it at us. We're always open to suggestions. But I thought this was super fascinating. And it's good to note that this is a very extreme example, and all these wires will only show if you go into prototype mode and Command or Control A to select all. They won't show by default, so don't worry about that. So, all right, here we go. Next is Emerald, who put together, so this was a two-parter. This was yesterday's, and I think I started to show this yesterday before the power went out. Maybe this is what happened. Emerald's amazing design just like completely took down the grid. And I love the way the pets are separated from the background and has this very subtle parallax effect. I thought it was kind of cool. And then today, he put together this. He put some filtering on the side, he got them dog pounds, and it just, Emerald does a really nice job. He really takes this challenge to new levels. I think it looks really cool. Alrighty, so great job everyone. I will have more to show off on Monday, but in the meantime, we're going to tackle user support. So let's hop over to Adobe XD. Here we are. And what we're going to be doing today is essentially on this landing page, we might want a user to be able to click on something and access support, right? So right now at the top, we do have a live help button, which is nice, but we might want something else. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to grab that live help button, which is right here. I'm going to make sure to copy this. I'll just pop it at the top of my layer stack and paste it. There we go. And I might want this a nice and blue color. So I'm gonna go to my assets panel. I do have that blue saved, so I'm just gonna click on it and it's gonna automatically apply that blue to my, what is this called? A chat bubble. Yeah, sure, chat bubbles are nice. I'm gonna make it a little bit larger, holding down my shift key to constrain it. And I wanna place it right above the fold. So here's the fold line, the viewport height. This guy right over here. So I'm gonna place it right above, let me zoom in here, right above this fold line. And this basically will allow me, when I press play, and just for now, I'm going to actually break my time trigger. There we go. So when I press play, you're gonna notice that that live help button is now right above the fold. It's just gonna always be there. And I thought I broke my time trigger. Why did it come back? Oh, I did not break the time trigger. I broke the other trigger. Boop. There we go. So now it's always there, right? But you're noticing as I'm scrolling down the page, that live help button also kind of floats up, which we certainly don't want. So what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna add one more element to this, just so it doesn't blend too much in with the background. I'm gonna grab my ellipse tool, just draw out an ellipse, move it behind that circle. I can use my Command and Control and then the left square bracket key to move it behind. I'll give it a very subtle border, and I think Emma this morning was talking about subtle borders. She's all into it now. I'm spreading the subtle borders. And then maybe I'll add a very subtle drop shadow, just super subtle, just to kind of pop it from the background a little bit. There we go. Now in my layers panel, I do want to make sure to group all those layers. So I'm going to select all of them, Command and Control G, and I'll just name this live help. Perfect. So again, as I'm moving up, it's also moving up with me, but we probably don't want that. So with that group selected over here to the right, I'm gonna turn on fix position when scrolling. Boop. And when I press play now, it doesn't move, it stays there. Now I might wanna move it just inward, just a little bit. Perfect. So now it's always there. It's probably a little bit too big, but I'm going to leave it. I definitely trust all of you to get creative with your designs, but I'm going to leave it right there as is for now. So now at this point, what we want is something to happen when someone clicks on that button. So we want sort of an overlay to pop up with a chat. So we're going to actually create a brand new artboard down here. We're going to use this for our chat widget. There we go. We're going to design it right here. Great. So now I'm going to grab my rectangle tool. And we're going to keep this fairly simple because we only have about 15 minutes left, but I expect all of you to do some really cool stuff when you get around to designing your chat widgets. I do want to round out the corners just a little bit, and maybe to separate it from the background, I will give it a darker color this time. And of course, we can always play with that and adjust that color later on. Great. We're going to type out, let's say, live help right at the top. Now it's obviously way too big and the color is not looking great. So I'm going to use my little handy, I was hiding it with my head. Oh no, I'm sorry. Well, it was there, I promise. Let's see. Let me see if I can show you this again. I move this, there we go. There it is. So as I'm scrolling up, look at that. There's the live help button. I promise it existed, and it's not moving now because we have fixed scrolling turned on. Much better. I was just trying to hide it from all of you. Didn't want you to actually see it. All right, so back here, I'm gonna grab my little handy helper at the bottom, this guy right here. Just pull this up so I can make the text bigger or smaller. Probably don't need it super bold, maybe medium. Medium looks okay. There we go, leave that right about there. And I might want an image, so I'm gonna actually drag out one more rectangle for the actual chat window, right about here. Great. Maybe I want the, the bottom borders or the bottom corners rounded, but not the top corners. So over here to the right, I'm going to click on this button here. That will allow me to set the corners individually for each corner. Or what you can do is just grab these guys down here, move them inwards to get a little bit of a border. And then I can go back over here. Let's say I don't want the top and the top. So that's nice and sharp at the top and rounded at the bottom. Perfect. Now right above here, I might want an image of the chat representative. So I'm going to just draw out a circle right here. There we go. Maybe I'll make this a little bit smaller. Perfect. This will be the image. Great. And now we need an image. So let me hop over to Finder. And I do have an image here in Finder of me. I am the chat representative. So I'm just going to simply drag this into Adobe XD, pop it on top of here. It's going to automatically mask it. Beautiful. Let me bring back XD, turn off the border, and I can always double click on here to make my head a little bit larger, but that's kind of terrifying. Great. All right, so we have the beginning of our chat widget. Let's go ahead and add a few additional bubbles, or a few bubbles, just so we know that, a chat is taking place. So right over on this side, this is going to be the chat representative bubble. I'm going to drag this out. We're not going to add any text. We're just going to add, a few little bubbles here and there. For the fill, we're going to set it to maybe a gray color, a light gray. Maybe, again, a very subtle border. Very subtle. And we can also round out the corners just to give it a little bit of flair. And then I can just duplicate this over here to this side. And this will be the bubbles for the actual user. So this might be maybe blue. Actually, you know what? I have a color in my assets panel that I might be able to use just to kind of keep consistency throughout the document. And the border, probably don't need a border on this one because the blue is taking care of the separation from the background really nicely. Great. All right. Now at the bottom, we actually need a place where we can start typing, right? So I'm going to drag this down just a little bit to add a little bit more space. I'm going to duplicate this shape in the background, Command or Control D, and just drag this downwards a little bit, just to give me a little bit of space to type. And it does have the border already. I'm going to just reduce the opacity of the border just a touch. Perfect. All right, it's looking okay. Noticing there's a little bit of a discrepancy between, so maybe I can actually turn the border off. No, I can't do that. Or I can move it inwards a little bit. What can I do? I don't know. Yeah, we'll leave it like that. You'll definitely make yours a little bit better. All right, so now that we have the basic kind of structure of this overlay, what we're going to do, I'm gonna actually make the artboard a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna click on the artboard, just drag this up because we don't need all this additional things. There we go. And I do want to make sure to group all this stuff just to keep it organized. So in my layers panel, I'm just going to select all these layers, Command and Control G, and just name this Live Help. Perfect. All right, so now we have our very basic, again, I expect you to do a lot better than I have, but we have a very basic Live Help chat widget. We actually want to start using this. Now, I talked about overlays, I think on day 2, and the importance of overlays is basically if you had 3 different artboards, right? And you wanted a user to be able to activate the Live Help widget from every single artboard. Let me duplicate this, pop it over here, and pop it over here, right? Let me move this over. It didn't pop in place. There we go. All right, so instead of having 3 additional artboards for every single time someone wants to click on the Live Help chat widget, we can just have one, which is this one right down here. So what I'm gonna do is go into prototype mode, select the Live Help widget, or the icon right here, and simply drag this handle right down to our newly created Live Help artboard at the bottom. And this will allow me to choose what the trigger is. In this case, it's going to be tap. We don't want drag or voice. And instead of a transition or auto animate, we actually want to use overlay, because this will basically overlay that artboard or the contents of that artboard on top of the current artboard that we're on now. So I'm going to press that, and I have a few options now. I can choose how I want this overlay to come into the screen. Do I want it to just snap into place, which is none? Do I want to kind of fade in, which is dissolve? Or slide left, right, up, or down? In this case, I probably want it to slide up from the bottom of the screen, so it's going to be up. And now I can actually move this into place exactly where I want it. So I can move it, let's say, right about here. I'll have it cover the little button. Pop it right about there. Sure, that looks, it looks okay. I can probably finesse that all day. Let's see. Yeah, that looks fine. All right, I'll keep it at that. So there we go. And Alan's asking, can we do things with overlays such as put it behind other objects? Not yet, but I know the team is working on some additional functionality for overlays. We definitely want to improve a lot of it. So there might be some stuff coming up at some point. So be on the lookout for that. All right, so now we have our overlay set up. I'm actually gonna just jump in here and rename this artboard just to keep my sanity. There we go. Perfect. So now I'm in prototype mode. If I press the play button at the top, whoops, wrong artboard, there we go. Press the play button, we have our artboard, and let me make sure you can all see this, because my head might be in the way. Yep, that should be good. All right, so now I can scroll down, I can see all the elements that we've been designing over the last few days, and now I can click on the Live Help button, and it's gonna slide up our chat widget, and all I have to do is just click on it again to slide it back down. And that looks pretty fancy, right? And I can just do the exact same thing from all the other artboards. And what's cool, I believe this works, right? So let me delete this and let me delete this. I hope this works. From prototype mode, if you copy an element that is wired up to another artboard and then you paste it on another artboard, it should maintain its wire. So I'm gonna copy this button right here, copy. I'm gonna hop over here, I'm gonna select this artboard, and I'm gonna paste. Aha, it did work. So it basically not only copied the element, this little button, but it also copied the wires going to the other artboard. So you don't have to go in there, copy and paste the button, and then wire it up again. You can just copy it from prototype mode. I'm losing my voice. You can copy it from prototype mode, paste it, and then it's gonna maintain those wires. So no matter which artboard I'm on, I can access my chat widget. Let me move this over just so you can see it. There it is. Bam, perfect. All right, let's add one more element. We do want to make sure that someone knows that they can close this. So I'm going to go back into design mode. Water, please. Yes, I need water, I'm dying. And we just want an X at the top. So just for that, I can just type out an X, just like that. This is probably not the best X. Let's see, what's a good font for an X? Arial? Yeah, sure, why not? It's not the perfect X, but it might work. There we go. So now we have an X. And we don't have to worry about updating all these other artboards. We just have to update one overlay, and it's going to automatically update. So there we go. So there's how overlays work in Adobe XD. We did demonstrate that on this artboard here as well, or this element here. Do we still have that wired up? Yes, we do. So that one kind of just dissolves in, and then it dissolves out. Now, very quickly, I do want to show you, so yesterday we did have some issues with power, and we were using the Google Sheets plugin to create this element up here, but I want to show you exactly one more time very quickly. If you missed it, I did re-record it, but let me very quickly do this again, just so you can see exactly how that worked if you did miss it. So let me ungroup my repeat grid, and I'm just going to delete everything except the first element. Perfect. Let me delete all this. All right, so this basically, what we had here is we created this card just like this. It was a very basic card. This one over here said price. This one over here said product name. Perfect. All right. So this is what we had yesterday. We had this card, very basic. We just had a card in the background. We had a spot for an image, which I did name image. Get rid of this repeat grid as well. This was for the what's it called? The stars. That's the star rating. So what we did is we selected all the elements that made up this group, right? This is the group here. I can just name this card, and this contains the repeat grid for the ratings, the price, the product name, the image, or what will be the image, and the card in the background. And once that's done, once we have our first card, I can Command or Control R to create a repeat grid and just drag out a few extra entries across my artboard. So I'll drag 4 down and 4 across. Then I can adjust the padding by just hovering in between any of the cards and moving my mouse just like this, and doing the same over here. Perfect. I'm leaving a little bit of room because I do want another title in this section here. But at this point, we want to add some content. So if you are working with a copy editor or a marketing team that's putting together a Google Sheet, which, by the way, if you are in this template, there's a link right here. You can copy this link, hop over to your browser, and just paste it, and you'll be taken to this. So you might be working with someone who's putting together this sheet with a bunch of product names, and you don't actually have those files locally on your computer. So what you're able to do is you're able to use a plugin like Google Sheets, which is one of my favorite plugins. I use it as much as I possibly can. So I have my entire repeat grid selected, this one here. I'm gonna go up to the plugins menu, down to Google Sheets, and by the way, if you don't have Google Sheets, definitely go down to Discover Plugins and search for it. It will be there. And then you're going to load or paste public link. That's if you have a Google Sheets link available. Otherwise, if you have a CSV file on your computer, you can load that in as well. So I'm going to paste the public link. I do have it here already. I'm going to press continue. And here we want to map out exactly what XD element relates to the Google Sheets column. So because the names are the same, it's all automatically mapping out. But if they're not the same, you can always just click on here and change it. So image to image, product name to product name, price to price. You can also randomize the content if you don't want it in chronological order. Although the randomize button refuses to turn on, but it does work, trust me. So now I'm going to press apply, and it's just going to load in all that content. So it basically took all this content. I have 8 cards here, so it went from 1 to 8 and just loaded in the product name, the price, and the image. And it all works with repeat grids. And then after the fact, you can always go in, because it is a repeat grid, you can make changes. Let's say I wanted the rating in the center. Maybe I want the product name in the center. Doesn't look that great, but you got the idea. Maybe I want this over top. That looks terrible. But as you're making these changes on a repeat grid, you just have to make them once, and it automatically distributes. So if you missed that stream yesterday, definitely go back to the replays tab, catch day 3. I did re-record that video after all the magical power failures, and yeah, it was a good time. So that's gonna do it for today, for Friday. This was a fun stream. You learned how to use overlays one more time to create this cool little chat widget. Definitely, encourage you to get creative with it, whether it's a chat widget or whatever it might be. Have fun with it. Post your stuff on Behance. You have a whole weekend. And on Monday, I'll be checking out some of those afterwards. We have Talon coming up at 12 o'clock at noon, designing XD in XD. It's always a good time with Talon, and sometimes he drops hints here and there. I'm not sure if he's going to drop any hints today, but It'll be fun. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. Definitely let me know in the chat if you're brand new to XD. Tweet at me, tweet at Adobe XD. It's going to be a good time. So I'll see you all Monday, bright and early in the morning. And that'll be it. No power failures. Huzzah. I'll see you all later.